Dr. Chris, thank you so much for being on the Dr. Tom Show. Really, really appreciate you sharing with our audience. You have been someone I've been meaning to get on for a long time. We finally managed to get our diaries together. My mistake more than yours, but we finally made it on here. And I know your content, your experience is going to be really valuable for us over on this side of the pond in the UK and Europe. So thank you very much for joining us on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. And we're going to get a lot of value today, I promise.
So I'm just going to get straight into it because, you know, for those of you watching on YouTube, will obviously see it, but for those who are listening, you don't see the sort of shape and physique that Dr. Chris has managed to achieve in his time, and that certainly didn't happen overnight. But a lot of us get caught in this trap, and we'll start with looks, and then we can really get into being, but we get caught in this trap of looking good versus feeling good. And I'd love to hear your comments on that, because your backstory has a bit to play with that. And with a world that is so based on social media, trying to achieve and look like somebody else, what are the probable pitfalls of it? And, you know, what have been your experiences with that?
Right. So, you know, most people, if you ask them what their greatest asset is, they'll say it's their health. It becomes that success 101 answer. It's almost a default answer. You know, what do you want, a boy or girl? Doesn't matter as long as they're healthy, right? So society logically or mentally says health is their most important asset. But when you ask them, so what is it? And I believe most people put their health into a couple categories of, well, I look good. Well, it comes down to I look good or feel good, but it's like, I look good, I feel good, I'm happy, I'm stressed, you know, I work out, I eat right? So they have all these different maps, but it really lands into one of the two buckets of I look good, I feel good. And that makes me healthy. And the problem is if you just base your health on how you look or how you feel, you don't see the reality of what's happening, such as, you know, the top two disease killers are cancer and heart disease. Now, the only reason why they're the top two killers, and I don't know why more people don't understand this, but they're the top two disease killers because you don't feel them. You don't feel heart disease growing. You don't feel cancer growing until when? It's too late. And then the number one cause of death and injury is when you cover symptoms. So when people go to a doctor, they take medicine to feel better, to mask symptoms, numb it, that becomes even more dangerous. It's like taking the batteries of the fire alarm or putting tip over your check engine light. So when you realize and that's the reason why we're so sick in any country, heart disease, cancer, medication, because most people just believe health is how they look or how they feel. They didn't realize it's how they function. And that's as chiropractors, that what we do. We teach people health is how you function.
And it's so true. And I see, do you know what's really interesting? And if we're brutally honest about our profession, like you see our profession not getting that right in themselves, and that breaks my heart a lot. But if we think about how it can go deeper into the sense of somebody's purpose, sense of somebody's soul, and we understand that we only have just this short amount of time on this planet, and we're here for a reason, we're here for a purpose, but so often we spend our times chasing somebody else's reason and somebody else's purpose, which it's similar to the health thing. Is it really on the inside? You know, yourself have built a fantastic practice. I see other people I work with, other clients who build successful practices, yet they feel no joy in it. They feel no fulfillment in it. And it turns out that they've been chasing somebody else's dream. How can you help somebody who's maybe from the outside looks like they've got everything they could possibly have got in life, and they're struggling with some guilt around the fact that they don't really feel fulfilled from that?
Well, it's because they're doing something, they're living out somebody else's values for their life. You know, they had set on a journey saying, well, I'll be happy if it's a very good parallel. We talked about health. Most people think it's how they look, how they feel. Well, in the same respect, people see success that way too. Meaning like this, they have an abnormal definition of it. So if we just thought health was how we look, how we feel, then you get frustrated when there's like, wow, why did I get heart disease? I ate right. Yeah, well, you weren't functioning right. Well, same thing with success. You know, if we feel success means having a certain amount of money in the bank, or checking off a couple boxes, paying for a house, or having, you know, if we just think it's these certain things on the outside, like, things we can measure on outside check boxes, like I call them, like these are things that you could, like, tangible check boxes. If we just believe it's that, then you'll check off all the boxes and you'll be still depressed and feeling unfulfilled, because success has to come from within. It's an internal thing. The success is who you are as a human being and what you have become through the journey of your life as a human being. It's not the trophies and or the um, material objects as a result of it. And so that's why no matter if you just chase those, if you got a nice car, let's say you got a fast car. Well, after a while, that fast car doesn't feel as fast anymore. So you want a faster car, right? So when you're doing those, when success is based off a number or something that can be measured, you're always going to want to, you're always going to desire more. So you never feel fulfilled.
That's so true. And I suppose you've got some experience with this, but more experience, you've got experience with achieving amazing success in different disciplines. You know, from it, you know, if I'm right with your story, from being really good at piano and getting really good accolades with that, bodybuilding, setting up an amazing practice. If you just share with the audience some of your successes, but then maybe what did you learn through those successes in terms of how to get them? But what did you feel or learn from actually getting them?
Well, yeah, piano was when I was a little kid,
Yeah.
and then bodybuilding was like I wanted to look just like my dad, and then did real well there. Opened up, smashed a chiro office. Then we opened, and we just a couple months ago opened up a regenerative stem cell clinic, and just crushing that as well and expanding. So when you look at like how do you see all these grand slams, but you don't see the other parts of my life that weren't grand slams.
Mm.
But what made the difference, right? So now, yeah, I do. There's multiple formulas for it. So and these are very easy. I think well, two things. I think that you must have some type of irrational obsession of what you want to do, like irrationally obsessed. So whether it be bodybuilding or chiropractic or something, like there was a time where I was irrationally obsessed to where many people thought I was doing too much, going overboard, and that's where you want to be. So my son, he's into tennis. What's irrationally obsessed? It's all you think about. Earl Nightingale says, we are what we think about most of the time. So if something's fixated on your thought and you're focused on something, it's in your thought most of the time. So my son will use tennis. He's in tennis now. So he wants to play tennis every day for hours every day. He watches it on YouTube and all he does is talk about it. Like to the point where you're like, hey buddy, can we give that a break and talk about something else? So it's irrationally obsessed about something. And when you're irrationally obsessed about something, the act of doing that thing becomes your reward at the same time. So the act of doing it is the reward, not doing it to get a goal or get a prize. So the act of the actual doing it refuels you. So like on his birthday, I'm like, what do you want to do? He's like, let's go play tennis. Let's do like, watch me play tennis. So it's like when he does that thing, it gives him the feedback, or when he does that thing, it gives him the reward of doing that thing. So chiropractic was that way to me. And I remember I was never happier than when I woke up trying to be the best in the world at something. And I'm not saying that I was trying to say, hey, I'm a better chiropractor than everybody watching. No, 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 no. I think when you could wake up every morning not trying to be good at something, you know what? I think I could be the best in the world. You know what I mean? That means like you being the best in the world at what you can do. So, whether it be for me having high volume, it didn't mean I was a better chiropractor than anybody. Just like, well, you know what? I think I could see more people than everybody else did. Like when you wake up knowing that, hey, I want to be the best in the world at something. And the third factor, so irrationally obsessed, one thing. Number two, when you could wake up and you truly desire, not say it, you got to really feel it. Hey, you know what? I want to be the best in the world at this, because you're willing to take 10, 15 years to do it, or you're willing to take 20 years, you're willing to go through the ups and downs, but it's like your goal is to be the best in the world. And number three, I think the big one that you will feel the most amount of distress in your life if you lower the target. So the third factor was you never lower the target ever. And that means you never lower the target. Watch this. Even if it means you don't hit the target, because at least see, when you lower the target, you lose your self-esteem, you lose your self-value, and it's coming from insecurity. We'll settle. Well, we'll take it. We'll take the easier road out. We'll lower the target. And when you look back, you always pay dearly, and you always regret the areas in your life that you lowered the target on. I can think of several areas in my life I lowered the target, and they're all the ones that I may look and have regret over.
That it makes so much sense. It's really interesting when you start to speak about that, because some of those three things everybody does. Like you get the person who says, well, you're irrationally obsessed with this success thing, yet they're irrationally obsessed with this soap thing or this drama that they're watching or this this magazine that comes out. So we all have that irrational obsession. It's just how we choose to do it. I think the second one in the world is a definer. Like, you know what? I'm choosing to be the best in the world at this. And I'm going to go for that. Lowering the target, like you know what it's like, when you're on a diet or something, and it's that one cream cake that you have.
Yeah.
You just lowered your target, and then everything drops. And I suppose it links into the selfishness thing. Like, I do a talk, and it's called "Be Selfish," and I start by talking about Mother Teresa. And I say, Mother Teresa, you probably think was selfless, but she's one of the most selfish people who's ever lived. She followed her own faith and nobody else's. She didn't do a TV interview for 10 years. So you've helped tens of thousands, if not more people in your time already, which is hundreds of thousands, I'd say. And it's through choosing to be the best in the world and selfishly going at it. So can you tell people how being selfish is probably the best thing they can do?
Well, it's selfish is a aspect of self-love. And a lot of times when you pour out to people, or you serve other people, you do other things, if you don't take care of, if you don't put self first, then you don't have the strength to do that. I like to have a quote like this. This is one of my mantras I have, that is really the reason why I want to be as successful as I choose to. And it sounds like this. It says, I am the underwriter for people's dreams, but first and foremost, my own dreams and desires. I'll say it again. I am the underwriter of people's dreams, but first and foremost, my dreams and my desires. And what that means is I want to be able to help people where it would be a miracle. Like, they were in a situation that it would be a miracle, and I was able to help them because of my abundance. But therefore, in order for me to have my abundance, I need to achieve my dreams and goals. I mean, like, if my dream or goal was something here, and when I achieve my dream or goal, then everybody else, not codependently, but then everything gets good for other people. Like, if I achieve my dreams and goals, then I'd be, a better philanthropist and be able to, what I mean, help better causes. So it's a lot of times the world's a way better place when you achieve your goal and your desires. And you got to understand, like, when it comes to, people say, well, what's your purpose? Exactly. It's your purpose. It's not somebody else's purpose. It's your purpose. So you have to become selfish because your purpose is your purpose. So you have to selfishly focus on your purpose and your vision. You have to, go after your dreams, goals, and visions. Because when you reach your dreams and desires, then therefore, as long as you have a good heart, which most people do, then when you have a good heart with that abundance, then you're able to then be beneficial even at a higher level to many other people. So that's why, like, you go selfish first, take care of yourself first. It's an act of love. It raises your self-esteem and self-value. And you don't walk around with false guilt. I think that's a big thing today in the world, is false guilt. It's I should be, I shouldn't take this time for myself. No, you should. Stop living in false guilt. That's from teachers, preachers, dogmas, and religion. They tell you need to martyr yourself. Well, like you said, Mother Teresa was not a martyr. She flew around in a private jet. She was far from a martyr. And what she did was selfish. Like, she would not be doing what she did if it didn't selfishly satisfy something in her heart. So, like, if you're watching this and you're like, you know what, serving people and giving people opportunities who didn't have opportunity more, or helping children that were from impoverished lands, get food and water and fix their cleft lip and get glasses. Like, if that juices you up, if that's like, holy shit, that just made my life feel so fulfilled, then you're doing that because it makes you feel good. I mean, you're doing that because you're happier than ever. So there's the root of all purpose and the root of every why. When someone says, like, well, you got to find your why. Well, the root of every purpose or why is selfish.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love it. And it just makes so much sense when you speak about it, and it sometimes rips some people off their horse. But tell me about being a hero. Like, your hero concept, I think, is brilliant. I love the way you bring us from a conscious adult world back down to what we truly knew and believed when we were young and in our heart. And your way of doing it is through this hero project. Can you tell people a little bit about being a hero?
Well, yeah. So, I resurrect heroes out of the complacency of their secret identity so they can express and experience true love now in every area of their life. And what that means is, most of us live in this secret identity and you don't realize it. The reason why you feel depressed or you don't feel like you're like, wow, I thought I would be further along than I am. Like it's the secret identity. It's a less than watered down value of your truth. It robs you of the vision and it takes away the permission for you to allow yourself to be the hero, or your true self, the true person you always intended to be. And when you look back, when you think of yourself as a kid, you had all these amazing qualities, and you still do. But what happened? Teachers, preachers, dogma, society, now media, everything. It forced you to put on a phony suit to conform and fit in with mediocrity. People said you couldn't, or be realistic, or think normal, and they took away your dreams. So when you look at when you were a kid, when everybody was a kid, if you know a kid, because sometimes you don't even realize it to reflect in a child right now. A child like who's 5 years old, they are relentless, right? They are playful. They have imagination. They're creative. They live in vertical time, which they're present, not in horizontal time. They are very forgiving. They have pride. They have ego. They they're loving. They question limitations at all times. They're, again, I said they're creative. They want to do things um, to experience their own truth, because the number one question they ask is why. And they ask why not because they're going against a rebellion or rebelling against the parent. They're trying to find a real reason and a truth, and they don't realize when they're asking why, and the parent doesn't realize when they answer the why, that their why is really an answer that has no ground. Like, it's time to go to bed. Why? Because you need your sleep. Why? Like, well, you need 8 hours of sleep. And the kid's like, why? Like, and then really you realize, well, holy shit, I've been told this too. So as parents, we're just telling our kids the crap, the BS that had no backing whatsoever that people told us. Like, it's time to eat all your food. Why? I'm not hungry. Like, why do I have to eat at 6 o'clock p.m.? Well, the whole family's eating, so at least sit on the table. Okay, I'll sit. Then all you have to say, you want to be together as a family. Don't tell me that I got to eat everything because I'm not hungry. So it's like when you realize, like, we're forcing and imposing these subordinated values. So that goes from that level, which seems like a minor level, but then the same thing happens with people and society dictating and forcing upon you on what you should be as a citizen, right? So, well, you need to have a job like this. You need to go to this school. Why? Well, because smart people go to that school. So it becomes this thing where you're living out other people's subordinated values, and you become a counterfeit version of someone else. And this counterfeit version is the secret identity, and that's the part of you that feels the stress and the resistance, and that's where you're at dis-ease on who you truly are. And a lot of times, when I work with people in their 30s and 40s, they start to get to that point where, like, I am so damn unhappy, but I'm confused because I do have a job, I do have a family, I do have kids. If you get to the point where, like, I should be absolutely blessed and thankful, but how come I don't feel fulfilled or that way? And it's not because you're not grateful or you don't feel blessed. It's because you've been living out somebody else's. You've been an actor in somebody else's movie your whole life. And when you're 30 and 40, you have to make a decision. It's kind of like the Matrix. You can choose to take the one pill that keeps you in that place and you just kind of like put in the back of your head. Or two, you actually have to now cultivate and build the greatest relationship in the world, which is the one in yourself. And for many 30, 40, 50-year-old people, even 20s, the least developed relationship is the one with their true self. And it's very tough because imagine being like, wow, I don't even know who I am. And it's about cultivating that relationship with yourself again, finding out who you truly are, what you truly desire, and what you were put on this, what you were placed on this planet to do. And the way you know on what you've been placed on this planet to do is just the Mother Teresa thing. It's the thing that when you do it, the act of doing that thing is the reward. It's not the end result. It's like, I get to help children. I get to help people, like whatever that is. Whatever that is, it can be driving Uber. It doesn't matter. But whatever that is, it's where you get that irrational obsession that in the act of doing that thing, the action of doing that thing, the journey of doing that thing is more of a reward than whatever end goal you would get to.
I love that. And one of the things that comes up, and it's certainly something I've struggled with before, and it's still something breakthrough is like not being admired for what you do is seen as a bad thing. Like wanting respect from people for what you do is seen as a bad thing. We all feel we should be this almost selfless person, and wanting that gratification isn't what we should be looking for. But I think a lot of people, that is what we want. Like selfishly, that is what we want. Do you think that's fair? Like, can we base
Well,
something on just wanting to be liked?
well, why do you want to be liked? That's the thing. Like, that's codependence. You know, that's
It,
codependence. Like, there's one thing to be liked, because why do you want to be liked? Because you know why? If you look at the definition of hero, it's one who is admired or idealized for courage, contribution, outrageous achievement, and nobility. So being liked, there's a part of us that wants to be admired, not be liked, be admired.
yeah,
It's different. Tom, me wanting you to like me, it's because I'm a good person and I like you, and I like, sure, I want to be on good terms with everybody, but it's not codependent. Like, my life doesn't matter if you like me or not.
yeah,
But you know, but we all want to be admired or affirmed for what we do. So respectfully and appreciated. I think appreciation is be a better term. So
yeah,
sure, I want to be appreciated. I think everybody wants to be appreciated. And I think we all have the ability to find someone and appreciate them. Not be grateful. Gratefulness and appreciation are two things. I'll tell you what. So when we're grateful for something, it comes with comparison. Like Thanksgiving, here in the States. Well, thank you, Lord, for this food we have on our table right now, because there's some people that are starving in the world, or thank you, Lord, that I have my limbs, because there's someone that doesn't have feet right now, right? Like thankfulness and gratefulness, it usually comes with a comparison of what you don't want. You follow what I'm saying?
yeah.
Where appreciation, there's not appreciation could be done universally every single time. Like, Tom, I could appreciate you no matter what scars you've been in. I mean, someone could be in a prison and appreciate that they have oxygen to breathe and their heart's beating. Like, see, appreciation is a non-compare. It's being grateful without comparison, or it's being able to find something in someone that, with no judgment, no comparison, no, like, whatever you come to the table with all your history, with all your scars, with all the ups and downs, with all the mistakes, when someone could look at you and say, I unconditionally appreciate you, no matter what you've been through. And there's no, and it's asking for nothing back. It's just like appreciating that you're a human being. And literally, if we come from the same source, you are a direct extension of me. See, like, that's as close to unconditional love that you get, is unconditional appreciation. So I think being to be liked, it's like you got to get through the why. But, well, why? What's a selfish reason? Well, because I feels good. Watch this. It feels good when people like me. Great. Why? Why does it feel good? Well, because it makes me happy. Well, why? Because I feel accepted by them. Why? Because I didn't feel accepted. But. So, when you keep on asking why, you really get down to the root cause of this shit, that's holding us back, or making us depressed, or making us or making us get into codependent relationships that wound up hurting ourselves and the other person in the long run.
Yeah. So, and I suppose one of the people we've got to appreciate most is ourselves, and not look for that validation outside. And I suppose that comes back with this sort of last point that I'd like to touch on. Um, we're always looking for somebody else to show us the way. We're always looking for somebody else to give us the secret, the formula, something to help us achieve success, which I think is false in its own vision, because it's their formula for success. So what's the difference between learning something new and discovering what's already within you? Which one do you believe is more important?
Learning something new from, like, an outside in, and discovering
Yeah,
what's
so going to
inside.
someone to get coached on how to do something the way
Oh,
you
no,
think,
very good.
or
No, no, no. Oh, very, very, very good question. Well, I believe they both have their merit. So modeling, so let's say coaching, right? So modeling is good to a point, meaning, because that's apprenticing. I go back to like, let's say you and I want to do something. Let's say right now we're like, we want to build mouses, like, or no, we want to, yeah, something. We want to build these glasses, right? We want to build these glasses that block blue light, and we want to sell these, right? But we don't know how to do it. So, like, okay, so what do? We go to someone, we go to all these companies, the top ones, and we ask them, hey, listen, we want to start a company. And you'll find that the most abundant people in the world will be the ones that offer advice. The best in the world offer their advice. The mediocre or the has-beens or the wannabes, they're stingy. And so then you'll find that one company's like, sure, come on, let's meet up, let's call, we'll tell you. We had a lot. They said, listen, we could probably tell you a lot of ups and downs, right? So now you apprentice them and you learn from them, and they save you time and they save you energy and they save you money, right? Because you're learning all the stuff they learned, you can learn it in this amount of time. So it's speed, right? So this is all good stuff. So I always recommend your model. But then there's going to come a point where you have to, what I call, you have to beat your heroes to reach your goal. That means that there comes a point when you have a coach and you get to a certain point, and then even though modeling and even though doing those things is successful, meaning that like, hey, I modeled exactly what they did and we got profits right away. This all happened. The company grew. But there's going to come a point where even though modeling, even though it'll even bring success, it still will leave you and your vision and personally with an underdeveloped individuality. I mean, so if I just copied and I modeled you and I built the same glasses and we're doing great. I mean, bank account's full. I mean, this is a wonderful time and we're really, really happy. But there comes a time where my individuality is not part of that. So I believe coaching or modeling is good to a point, but then you have to learn, get to a certain point, and then you need to put yourself and put your individual uniqueness into it to really stay fulfilled. Otherwise, you're just going to get bored because you're like, oh, I'm just you're a counterfeit. You're a counterfeit version of somebody else. The world needs you. It doesn't need a counterfeit version of somebody else.
That is so true. So, talking about what the world needs, if I suppose I'll ask you this final question, what does the world need? Like, what is it that you can bring to the world? What is it that you'd like to leave the world with? What is the legacy that essentially you'd like to leave with us all?
Oh, my legacy is I help people take their authority back. And that's very simple. It's a very simple thing. I help people take their authority back. That's what I'm here to do. And so whether it be take their authority back in life by becoming healthy again, by taking their authority back in life or realizing that they're living a secret identity and they could shut it off and be who they're created to be. Now I'm here for people to take authority or take their life back for themselves.
I love how much conviction and purpose you say that with. It's brilliant. Dr. Chris, thank you ever so much for being on the show today. What you've shared has been so invaluable, and I know people are going to get a lot out of it. There's going to be links to all of Chris's stuff in the show notes below, so please go and find out more about what he does. Where's the easiest place for people to connect with you?
Well, you could go to iamhero.com, iamhero.com. So iamhero.com, and we have a wonderful free web, masterclass for you, and some really cool stuff on there. And then Instagram is pretty good at Dr. Zaino. But the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm about to make a quantum leap in my life, and what that means is, I'm looking at 10x something, not 1x it. And when you make a quantum leap, it's like a rocket ship. You need all energy and focus to be on that. So social media happens to be just one area, even though it's nice and people appreciate it. The effort, even the little bit of effort and time that's put into it, I need to gather all resources into my next quantum leap. And so I will not be on social media pretty much for a long time after this, because I got some what I consider more important stuff to do for me in my life. Then watch this. I have more important stuff I need in my life that everybody will then benefit on once I reach my goals. So that's where I gotta get selfish. And social media is just not. It's fun. It's great. It's a great distraction. There's some really good stuff. I follow some really good, positive people, but it's I got to let go of the good things for great things now.
It's a great thing to end on. You've got to let go of the good things for the great things. I love the cliffhanger, just like all your comments back to superhero films. I can't wait maybe in a few years to see the sequel. Thank you very much for joining us today, Chris. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you guys and everybody's watching. Thank you.
Really appreciate it, Chris. Thank you very much.
Yeah, man, that was great.